Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're opening a box that frankly feels like it shouldn't exist.
It really does. It's a massive find.
Yeah, we are looking at the Glass of Time. Now, looking at this stack of notes you've pulled together for us today, this is described as a late discovered fictional manuscript attributed to William Shakespeare, written by Max and Claude. And I just have to ask right off the bat.
Is it real?
Exactly. Before we even get into the plot, is this for real? Because finding a lost Shakespeare play in the 21st century sounds, well, it sounds too good to be true.
I mean, it's the literary equivalent of finding a forgotten Beatles album in a basement tape deck.
Right.
Whether you fully buy the attribution to the bard or you think it's just this brilliant, masterful forgery by the discoverers, Max and Claude, the text itself is undeniable.
It's dense.
It's incredibly dense. It's strange. And it really feels like Shakespeare writing at the absolute end of his life. We're talking about the period when he was done with the histories and the tragedies and moved into what scholars call the romances.
Like The Tempest or The Winter's Tale.
Exactly.
It definitely gives off some serious Tempest vibes. You've got an island, you've got magic, lost royalty. But the setup here feels, I don't know, darker? Or maybe just more abstract.
Much more abstract. We aren't in Bermuda or the Mediterranean here.
Right, we are in metaphysical real estate.
That is the perfect way to put it. The setting isn't just a physical place, it's a cosmological state.
Right.
The play takes place on an island that exists specifically between memory and forgetting.
Which is such a wild concept.
It is, and it also doubles as the Kingdom of Albion. So the geography itself is a metaphor for the human mind.
Which is a pretty heavy concept to drop on the audience in Act 1, Scene 1.
It really is. And to understand the stakes of this deep dive today, you have to look at the two forces running the show, the sisters.
Mnemosyne and Lethe.
Yes. You have Mnemosyne, the queen of memory, and her sister Lethe, the queen of forgetting.
The ultimate sibling rivalry.
In the absolute worst possible way. Mnemosyne wants to preserve everything, every joy, every pain, every single mistake.
Because memory shapes the soul.
Right. She believes memory is the only thing that grants a soul its shape. If you lose your memory, you lose your humanity. She is basically the archivist of the universe.
And Lethe is the shredder.
Yes. Lethe wants the eternal now. She argues that memory is just a burden, a chain of trauma that keeps us from being happy.
She wants to wipe the slate clean.
Exactly. So everyone can live in a state of blissful, empty peace.
I mean, playing devil's advocate here for a second, looking at the state of the world sometimes, Lethe doesn't sound entirely wrong.
She has a point.
Right. Who hasn't wanted to just delete a bad year or, a painful breakup?
And that is the seductive part of her villainy. She isn't trying to kill you. She's trying to numb you. She offers relief.
But the catch is the numbness.
Exactly. The play argues that this numbness is worse than death because it strips away context. Without the past, you have absolutely no way to navigate the future.
Which brings us to the primary victim of this whole cosmic feud, the king.
Chronos, the king of time himself, or, well, what's left of him.
This was the part of the summary that really caught me off guard. Because usually in these stories, the king is dead or he's in exile, but here he's...
Scattered.
Scattered, yeah.
It's a terrifying image, isn't it? Chronos has been scattered across time by a usurper named Severus, with a lot of help from Lethe's sorcery.
So the king isn't in one piece.
No. His consciousness is fragmented across centuries. He is basically decomposed into moments.
So the Kingdom of Albion is literally suffering from a breakdown of time itself.
Precisely. The timeline is broken because the king is broken.
Which means our mission for this play isn't just defeat the bad guy, it's reassemble reality.
And to fix that, you need a very specific group of people. Shakespeare loves a trio of lost souls. And The Glass of Time delivers a really classic set.
Let's run through this lineup for the listeners, because I think their backstories are crucial for how everything wraps up. We've got Miranda Secunda.
Miranda Secunda, a very direct nod to The Tempest. She starts off as a shepherdess, raised by a philosopher named Old Adam.
Who is actually a disguised courtier named Cornelius.
Right. And she thinks she's nobody. Just a girl herding sheep on a metaphysical island.
But spoiler alert, she's not just a shepherdess.
Far from it. She's the granddaughter of Chronos, the true heir to time itself.
But she doesn't know it yet.
Because her memories have been suppressed to protect her, she is royalty hiding in plain sight.
Then we have Marcellus, the shipwrecked sailor.
Yeah, he washes up thinking he's just a deckhand, a guy who hauls ropes for a living.
Until he looks into the glass.
Right, the titular glass of time. Mnemosyne's mirror. He looks into it and sees a crest. He's actually the Lord of Eastmarch.
And finally, we have Perditus.
The lost one. A wanderer who thinks he's worthless. But it turns out he's the son of Kairos, Kronos' brother.
So you have these three people who think they are absolutely nothing, but who are actually the pillars of the kingdom.
Exactly.
That brings us to the glass itself. I really want to dig into this because it seems like the central mechanic of the first half of the play. It's not a magic mirror that shows you what you want to see, right? Like the mirror of Arised in Harry Potter.
Oh no, it's much crueler than that. The glass of time reflects truth. And specifically, it reflects the past you've repressed.
The stuff you're hiding from.
Yes. When Marcellus looks into it, he doesn't see himself looking handsome in a crown. He sees his home burning. He sees the exact failure that led to his exile.
So it essentially re-traumatizes them.
It forces them to integrate their trauma. Mnemosyne has this incredible line, "To see the truth is to accept its weight."
Wow.
The play is arguing that you can't be a hero until you acknowledge the worst things that have ever happened to you. You have to carry it.
That is a tough sell for a recruitment poster. Hey, come save the world, but first, relive your absolute worst nightmare.
It's the anti-Lethe argument. Lethe says, forget the pain and be happy. Mnemosyne says, remember the pain and be real.
And the heroes have to choose being real over being happy.
Exactly.
So while our heroes are grappling with their pasts, we have to talk about the antagonist. Because Severus, he's not just some mustache-twirling villain. He's got real psychological depth that makes him genuinely unsettling.
Severus is the Duke of the Iron Shore. And he's fascinating because he's a study in nihilism.
He usurped the throne, but not really just to rule.
Right, he doesn't really care about ruling. He usurped the throne because he has this massive internal void he's trying to fill. He is a man who feels small, so he needs to make the world small to fit him.
The notes mention a specific bargain he made with Lethe, and this part honestly gave me chills.
It should. To gain power, he had to trade away pieces of himself. There's this harrowing monologue where he admits he traded the memory of his own mother's face for the strength to hold the throne.
He traded his mother's face.
He is hollowing himself out piece by piece, selling his humanity to buy authority.
He's voluntarily becoming what he commands. Which brings us to the Hollow Men.
If this play were ever filmed, these guys would be pure nightmare fuel. The Hollow Men are Severus's enforcers.
And they're human souls.
Human souls that have been completely emptied of memory and identity.
They're vessels for the void.
Yes. They are described as being physically cold, like absolute zero, and they track their victims by sensing the warmth of a soul that still has memories.
That is horrifying. It's like they're heat-seeking missiles, but for nostalgia.
It's a really dark predator-prey dynamic.
Yeah.
The empty hunts the full, and Severus sends them after Miranda because he knows the prophecy. She is the anchor.
If she survives and remembers who she is, Chronos can be pulled back together.
Right, so the hunt is on.
And Acts 3 and 4 seem to be where the action really ramps up. The heroes are cornered, the Hollow Men are closing in, and this is where Mnemosyne hands Marcellus a weapon, the Sword of Temporalis.
The blade of moments.
Now, usually in fantasy, a magic sword is just sharper, or maybe it glows blue when enemies are nearby, but this thing functions so differently. It's almost philosophical.
It's completely unique in the canon of magical weapons. The Sword of Temporalis doesn't cut flesh. It cuts time.
Or rather, it injects it.
Exactly. When Marcellus strikes a Hollow Man with this sword, he doesn't kill him, he fills him.
Wait, let's unpack that for a second. He stabs them with history.
Think about what a Hollow Man is. A vacuum. An emptiness where a person used to be. Nature abhors a vacuum. The sword forces time, memory, and identity back into that void.
So he's weaponizing restoration. He's fighting them by curing them.
And the text describes it as devastating. Imagine you've been a mindless monster for 20 years. You've killed people, burned villages, felt absolutely nothing.
And then the sword strikes you.
And all those memories come rushing back in an instant. The guilt, the horror, the realization of who you were or what you've become.
It's not killing them, it's waking them up to a living nightmare.
Yes. The text describes the Hollow Men falling to their knees, weeping. They scream not from physical pain, but from the sudden crushing weight of their own conscience.
It turns the battlefield into a mass confessional.
It does.
That's such a complex idea for a fight scene. Usually you just want the bad guys destroyed. Here they are saved, but it hurts.
It's entirely consistent with the play's main theme. Healing isn't soft. Healing is painful. The sword restores their humanity, and humanity hurts.
So while Marcellus is out there conducting aggressive therapy with a sword, Miranda and Perditus are trying to pull off the main ritual.
Right. They are using their blood connection to Chronos to act as a beacon. They're calling the scattered pieces of the king back to the island. And it starts working. Chronos begins to form in the glass.
But then we hit a snag. Lethe.
Queen of Forgetting steps in,
Mm-hmm.
and Mnemosyne can't stop her. This is a crucial plot point. Mnemosyne asks, why can't I not deceive my sister? And the answer is a paradox.
Lethe is the most remembered being.
Yes, because everyone is afraid of her. Fear is a form of memory. Every single time someone fears death or oblivion or losing themselves, they are thinking of Lethe.
She derives power from the fear of forgetting.
She's too big to fail because she lives in the minds of everyone who is scared of the dark.
So you can't fight her with force, and you can't fight her with memory.
Which leads to Miranda's aha moment. It is arguably the smartest twist in the play. Miranda realizes that to defeat the Queen of Forgetting, she has to give her exactly what she wants.
She has to forget her.
But not just ignore her. Miranda uses a mental technique Mnemosyne taught her, the shepherd's call, to genuinely, biologically excise the concept of Lethe from her mind. She deletes the file.
She basically edits the source code of her own brain.
She does. And because Miranda is the heir of time, her perception shapes reality. She looks at Lethe and she sees nothing. She doesn't acknowledge her. She doesn't fear her. To Miranda, Lethe simply does not exist.
And that breaks the god.
It traps Lethe in a paradox.
Okay.
She claims she wanted oblivion. Well, Miranda gave it to her. If the prime observer doesn't see you, do you exist? Lethe freezes. She becomes a statue of her own concept.
That is weaponized psychology right there. I'm going to ghost you so hard you stop existing.
It's brilliant because it requires a sacrifice. Miranda has to lose a part of her understanding of the world to save it. She makes herself a little less knowledgeable to make the world safe.
With Lethe out of the way, the interference stops. Chronos returns.
The king is back. The scattered moments finally reform into a man.
But we are not done. We've got a king, but Severus is still sitting on the throne in Albion. We have to reclaim the kingdom.
Act 5, the reclamation. And the strategy here is great. You'd expect Chronos to just zap Severus with time lightning or something.
Right, magic god powers.
But instead, they launch a ground assault. They sail to Albion.
And who leads the attack? Because this is my favorite detail.
The team that infiltrates the castle through the sewers isn't the shiny heroes. It's the restored hollow men. Marcus, Thomas, and Helena.
The former monster.
The victims of the regime are the ones who dismantle it. They know the tunnels because they used to patrol them. They destroy the hollow-making machine, which is the source of Severus's power. It's perfect poetic justice.
Meanwhile, Marcellus finds Severus in the dungeon, and we get to see the Sword of Temporalis used one more time. But in a completely different way.
Right. Severus isn't hollow. He's the opposite. He is full of stolen time. He's been artificially extending his life and power. So when Marcellus strikes him, the sword doesn't fill him.
It strips him. It repossesses the time.
Exactly. He ages decades in seconds. He goes from a virile tyrant to a withered, trembling old man. He's unkilled, but he is neutralized. He's returned to his natural state, which is near death.
This leads to the final confrontation at the gates. You've got Chronos, the restored god king, standing over Severus, the defeated usurper. The crowd is watching. They want a head on a spike.
It's the classic execution scene.
Yeah.
But Chronos refuses to swing the blade.
Why? Severus is a monster. He scattered the king, enslaved souls, destroyed memories. If anyone deserves it, he does.
Chronos argues that if he kills Severus, he's just validating Severus's worldview. The idea that power is the only truth. That the guy with the biggest sword makes the rules. Chronos wants to reestablish a moral order, not just a political one.
So what is the punishment then?
Exile, but a very specific kind. Severus is forced to live with his memories. He has to sit in a cell and remember everything he had, everything he traded away, and everything he lost.
For a guy who spent his entire life trying to escape himself and fill that void with power, that sounds worse than death.
It forces a narcissist to be alone with himself. No audience, no power, just memory. It's the ultimate penance.
So justice is served. The bad guy is in timeout for eternity. The king is back. But the play doesn't end with Chronos putting on the crown and ruling for another 1,000 years.
No. And this is where the new order comes in. Chronos makes a surprising admission. He calls himself a relic.
He realizes he's been scattered for so long that the world has moved on without him.
He doesn't understand the modern Albion.
He's humble enough to know he's outdated.
So he establishes a regency. He names Miranda crown princess, but effectively hands her the keys. He intends to step back when she's ready.
And Miranda, she doesn't exactly embrace the queen title, does she?
She accepts the role, but she completely reframes it. She tells the court she will rule as a shepherdess, not a monarch.
Which calls back to her upbringing.
It suggests that her time as a nobody, Her time tending sheep was actually the perfect training for leadership. She sees the kingdom as a flock to be protected and nurtured, not a possession to be exploited.
It's a shift from I own this land to I serve this land.
Exactly. It's a very modern definition of leadership for a Shakespeare play.
What happens to the rest of the crew? The party splits.
As is tradition, Marcellus becomes Warden of the East. He keeps the sword of temporalis, but he vows never to use it unless the hollow men return. He becomes the guardian of history, in a way.
And Perditus, the lost one.
He becomes the king's advisor. He keeps the hourglass of Kairos.
I actually missed the hourglass in the notes. What does that do?
It's a subtle artifact, but fascinating. It doesn't show the future. It shows moments of decision. It glows when a choice is being made that will literally change history. It distinguishes between Chronos, which is sequential time, and Kairos, which is the opportune moment.
That is a very handy thing to have in a cabinet meeting. Hey guys, the sand is glowing. Maybe let's think about this tax policy a little longer.
It reinforces the theme that choices matter, that history isn't just fate. It's a series of decisions.
And what about the restored hollow men?
They are reintegrated. They become farmers, guards, tunnel keepers. The play makes a point of showing that they aren't shunned. They are accepted back into the society they were forced to attack. It's a truly restorative ending.
It really feels like the whole play is an argument for balance. You have Mnemosyne, memory, and Chronos, time, finally standing together in the epilogue.
They stand on the island, watching the future in the glass. It's a beautiful image. It suggests that you need both. You need time to move forward, but you need memory to know where you're going.
So, stepping back from the plot for a second, what is the big takeaway here? Why would Shakespeare, or whoever wrote this, focus so heavily on this specific conflict?
I think it's about the necessity of continuity. Severus and Lethe represented a break, a desire to sever the connection between who we were and who we are. They wanted an eternal now because the past is heavy.
And it is heavy. I think everyone listening to this feels that.
It is. But the play argues that if you sever that connection, you become hollow. You become a monster. The heroes win not because they are stronger, but because they are willing to carry the weight of their own history.
But there's nuance there, right? Because Miranda did use forgetting to beat Lethe.
That's the critical distinction. Strategic forgetting, letting go of things that no longer serve you or things that paralyze you. That is a mercy. It's a tool.
Severus wanted to strip memory from others for power. Miranda chose to let a memory go to save the world.
It all comes down to agency, choice. Are you forgetting because you're hiding? Or are you forgetting so you can move on?
That is a powerful question.
It brings us back to that line Mnemosyne says near the very end. Is forgetting a mercy or a prison? And the play seems to answer, it depends on who holds the key.
I love that. Well, whether the glass of time is the bard's final bow or a masterful modern fetich by Max and Claude, it's a story that forces you to look in the mirror.
It certainly does. It reminds us that we are all, in a way, scattered across time, fragments of who we were and who we will be, and it's our job to pull those pieces together.
That is a perfect place to wrap up. Thank you for guiding us through the fog of memory today.
A pleasure as always.
And to you, our listeners, here is a thought to chew on as you go about your day. We talked about the sword of temporalis, a weapon that heals by returning memory. If you had that sword, if you could strike the empty parts of your life and fill them with the truth of the past, would you do it?
Would you want to remember everything perfectly? Or are there some things that are better left in the hands of Lethe?
And does true immortality lie in living forever, or simply in being remembered well? Until next time, keep looking in the glass.